certain world number one, Jannik Sinner has been given a 3-month ban. They revisited the decision that was taken earlier on, where they found that he had no culpability in a banned substance being in his system. But then WADA did protest, and they lodged a complaint. And what has then happened is that in consultation with the player, he has accepted a 3-month ban because they do now find that he was somewhat culpable. To that you say what?
Just because everything is seemingly... I read a comment by Andy Roddick in terms of the 3-month ban. It's going to end, I think, the 4th of May, if I'm not mistaken. And it was like, so that's like suspending a kid for 3 days, and you do that on a Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Anyway, then he comes back Monday. Nothing's changed. Nothing's fallen off. And I think players like Nick Kyrgios have said, no fine, no games missed, no titles lost. What is this? Like, what are we doing, right? And you get someone like Stan Van Wawrinka say he doesn't believe in a clean sport anymore. All of this because there's inconsistency in how these things are executed. It seems like some people are better off, or maybe their legal team in terms of representing that particular athlete. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that seemingly it's not the same stick that's flogging all the horses. Sometimes they get a big stick, sometimes it's a feather, And you're like, what's going on here, Shout out to Sinner for having defended his Australian Open crown and having played as good as he did. But if you are dirty, there should be actual punishment where we can see. Basically, it's a slap on the wrist, and things like that, slaps on the wrist. You do it again because I'm not saying I'll do it again, but I'm just saying if the punishment is not going to make you consider your life choices, what are we doing? Especially at that level of the game, Jay, especially with that much money at stake, with the sponsorships, with the names, with the legacies that people are building. You can't then just say, well done for the Australian Open, and okay, we've appealed, but here's the immediate 3-month ban. Why not hit him when it hurts, where he wants to get a Wimbledon, where he wants to get a Roland Garros? Why not make a statement so that people know that we're not playing here? Because I think it's happened with other players, and the treatment has been very different. People will protest. So how I was out for 3 years, and then retrospectively it was reduced, but I lost that much. I've lost a big chunk of my career. It hasn't happened this way. So Jay, I can't control. I mean, if some punishment has come out, you must be at least happy about that. If there's some guilty finding or there's some suspicion in terms of it's not necessarily oblivious or not necessarily culpable for the findings, you're happy about that. But inconsistencies will always be an issue.
So the other side of what you are talking about with regards to what the player said, like Stan and Nick, is Aryna Sabalenka, who said that she's now scared because she can't leave a glass that she was drinking from and go to the bathroom and drink from that glass again, because who knows what will turn up in her system. And that is such an interesting thing for me, that there's the divide in terms of how players are viewing this. Some players, which you were highlighting, view this as an inconsistency and that the rules are not being applied correctly with regards to the views on doping. Whereas Sabalenka's view is that there's a witch hunt for us players, because now I'm scared that they're going to come after me, or they come after players. And so it's caused a divide and a rift in the respective change rooms, right? But in terms of Chuck, in terms of Sinner's punishment, the statement reads that he has accepted 3 months. So WADA was coming after this guy, and they said we're not convinced, or we're not happy with the fact that he had no parts to play in what ended up in his system. And then upon landing on the decision that no, even if it came from his team, which is what the statement speaks about, that he has oversight over his team, so he is to blame on some level. But then they say that he has accepted 3 months. So you prepared a ban, or where you were supposed to prepare a ban, because this is how we know doping cases work, that if you find the player guilty, you hand down a judgment and you give them, and they were going for a 2-year ban. You went and you spoke to Sinner and you asked him what is he comfortable with, or you negotiated. You negotiate bans now? We negotiate drug bans. Since when has that happened? And this is the same thing that happened with Iga Swiatek, with her getting only a month. And the thing is, if Sinner was playing under protest when he won the US Open and he won the Australian Open, he was essentially playing under protest. why are we not revisiting the results when he was being investigated? That there's nothing retrospectively, and the punishment is you spoke to Sinner and you said, listen, here are the options. What do you want to go with? And presumably he came back and said, well, I've won the Australian Open. The next big tournament, the next Grand Slam is happening on these dates in May. So can my suspension last until I have to play a Grand Slam tournament? And then Wada said, what? Yes. I don't understand the concept, Chuck, of they made him an offer and he accepted. Are you not supposed to be the ones who make the rules and hand out the bans? So when you say that a guy has been found guilty or a girl has been found guilty, in one case it's a month, in another it's 3 months, and it's both the players who in recent times have been world number one and Grand Slam winners, it does not look good. You like I then hear what Stan Wawrinka is saying because it feels dirty because this is a precedent, right? If they come out and ban another tennis player one of these days for 2 years, there's going to be uproar because the as Freitag called her herself and Jannik Sinner, maybe it's because we're celebrities that there is this level of furor around us. But a lesser player who does not quite carry that name, when they get a 2-year ban, it's going to look terrible. It's a bad look.
Medvedev was suggesting that maybe it's the legal team that got him the 3 months versus the two years that was initially put forward. And he said that he hopes that in future things play out this way, meaning that if someone else is guilty, you can't do then 6 months, you can't do a year, 2 years, because it's like, well, we saw what happened to those guys. Isn't that hard? Because I mean, the past is the past. Fine, there are inconsistencies based on the past, but going forward, there must be some consistency because if you've changed your step, you're no longer striding with that confidence of 2-year ban, and you're now tiptoeing. And someone else has an indiscretion or breaks the rules as well, you have to tiptoe. You can't stomp on them anymore because now you've said, well, this is how we treat these situations. So going forward, that's what needs to happen now. Because if it doesn't, what do you do then?
Why would I not take a chance on a 6-month ban? Let me take double the dose of what Jannik Sinner took and going into Roland Garros and Wimbledon, and knowing that I'm going to get busted. And well, there's a precedence, and this is how the law works. There's precedence. So by that logic, that if this level of ban substance is in my system and the story is that it's my team or whatever the case may be, you literally can recreate that scenario and make the argument in front of the arbitrators that, well, it's exactly like Sinner. Like, I'll take my 3 months. Like, I'll take the substance. I'll go win the tournament I really want to win, make the money I really want to make, and then I'm gonna take the test, and I know what it's gonna come back and say because we've measured to the T what is gonna be in my system, but it helped me do what I needed to do, and I'll take my 3 months. Like if you get busted at the US Open, Chuck, that happens in August and September. 3 months is the rest of the year. You're back for the Australian at the start of the year.
That's called taking a break.